Harpoon Harry's motto might be, "It's not just a restaurant, but an adventure." However, is the adventure worth your time? Today, we'll dive into the murky waters of seafood in the Smoky Mountains. Welcome to Bear Facts, where we explore the Smoky Mountains one bear fact at a time. Many of you who have watched my channel might notice that I have a certain passion for seafood. Like Oliver likes to say, if he sees it, he likes it. So he can eat it, of course. I'm kind of the same. I love seafood, but it's one of the hardest kinds of foods to find in the Smoky Mountains. I get it. We're in the South, the home of barbecue and deep fried everything. It makes sense that seafood is gonna be hard to find here. In Tennessee, if it doesn't have barbecue sauce or deep fried, it's not real food. So when you're in the Smoky Mountains, you won't have any trouble finding good barbecue, that's for sure. But anything else, well, that's a crapshoot. And sometimes you're in the mood for something less, easier on the waistline, coma-inducing. Yes, Oliver, we get the point. Anyway, those things for sure. But sometimes you're just looking for something different. And though there are other options in the Smoky Mountains, the choices can be limiting. I have to admit, when we first saw Harpoon Harry's from the Parkway, we just passed them by. It seemed too themey and not really authentic. And yes, most of Pigeon Forge is very themey and not very authentic anymore. But if you're going to be shelling out money for seafood or eating at a place for the first time, it better be good. At least that's my thought anyway. There's another reason we passed the place by. It has a big blue crab on the front. And I'm not a big fan of blue crab. They just seem like too much work. And, having a big blue crab kind of made me think that's all they had was blue crab. I know that really wasn't a good reason not to go to the place, but you can't argue with your subconscious. It always wins. So when we finally did go, it was a pretty big surprise how good it was. Now, I get it. I'm talking about a very subjective subject matter, which is food. And there will always be someone, or a lot of someones, who will argue that this place was the worst seafood place they'd ever tried. And for some, it might have been. But for us, we really enjoyed it. So let me tell you about our experience. First, maybe I should start with a few basic facts, like what is Harpoon Harry's and where are they? Harpoon Harry's is in Pigeon Forge off of 441 Parkway. Though their address is 112 Community Center Drive, it's basically on the Parkway. The restaurant is pretty close to the island and Paula Dean's Lumberjacks. They are an easy walking distance from many hotels and resorts in the area. And since they're along the Little Pigeon River, you can also walk to them using the paved walkway that stretches for miles along the river in Pigeon Forge. They're also on the trolley route, and if you want to drive, they have a big parking lot and it's all free. But enjoy that perk because it will be the last free thing you get once you enter their doors. Harpoon Harry's isn't cheap. And if you hadn't already guessed from the title of this video, the restaurant is not locally owned. In fact, they're based out of Florida. The Smugglers Restaurant Group opened this location in 2015, taking over the former Mandarin House, which is ironically a Chinese buffet. And Oliver is correct. There are very few Chinese buffets in the Smoky Mountains, which, if you're traveled in the US much, is odd. But barbecue rules here, so I guess they just don't have room. The architecture and interior design is quite impressive, and I would have to say that it fits the Smoky Mountains quite well. Yeah, there's a giant blue crab on the front, but if you go inside, it does fit. So you gotta go inside just to see. From the outside, you can tell that this is a large restaurant. It has 3 stories, but the middle one is where you'll most likely only see. There is a top level that is open for private events or when the place gets very busy. The bottom level, I didn't see much of that, but you could tell it's there, that's all. One of the things that I like about Harpoon Harry's is that the designers didn't ignore the culture of the Smoky Mountains in an attempt to take guests to a tropical paradise. Sorry, Margarita, you know who I'm talking about. Instead, they worked really hard to learn about the best parts of the Smoky Mountains. And yes, there is a giant blue crab clinging to the ceiling when you first enter, and there is some ocean theming, but how they went about it makes you feel like you are in the Smoky Mountains, or at least a mountain town. As you enter the massive building, the first thing you see, besides the blue giant crab crawling around above your head, is a beautiful woodwork. The main lobby has a massive hand-sculpted wood sculpture piece with a collage of oceanic creatures, from sea turtles to mermaids, and the sculpture is impressive in scale, detail, and scope. But sea creatures aren't the only thing you will find. All around the restaurant are 60 unique hand-carved pieces by Randy Bonney. If you get the chance to look him up online, he has some impressive works out there. But even if you don't get around to looking at his work online, just wander around Harpoon Harry's for a few minutes and take in his work. It's very impressive. From the carved columns of a bear fending off an eagle from her cub to the fireplace hearth, there are heavy wooden chairs that look like crabs and small mammals peeking their heads out from tree knobs and other places. I can go on and on about the work, but it's better just to see it in person if possible. As I pointed out, this is a big place and they have a lot of seating. There is a main bar area with a heavy wooden booths and chairs in the front of the building. If you keep going, there's a large seating area in the back. Here, guests can sit and watch the little Pigeon River as it flows by. This area of the restaurant has massive windows that can be opened up. When we went, it was too cold to even consider it, and I'm not sure if they ever open them up, but maybe on warmer days they do, I'm not sure. There is one other level for guests, and that's upstairs. And there's also another bar up there. They have a red truck, which is like the theme of the Smoky Mountains, a red truck thing, and it sits inside the bar. Like I said, they leaned into the culture of the Smoky Mountains quite heavily in places. And the restaurant also has pictures of Pigeon Forge before its development, photos of families from the area. They did try to give guests a little sense that they didn't leave the Smoky Mountains, they're just experiencing it in a different way. And it's nice that they're trying to do that because it does give guests a piece of the history and lets them see something that they might not have been experienced at another restaurant. So, as exciting as the decor might sound, I'm sure you're wondering if the food is as good as the decor, or even what kinds of food you might find there. That's a good start. Well, here we go. If you look over the menu, it's not very big. But so what? They have all the things you want. A little landlubber stuff, some seafood, a pizza for kids, and sushi. And yes, if you want barbecue, there is a barbecue rib on the menu. Wait, did I just say sushi? Yes, I just said sushi. Ironic, seeing as this used to be a Chinese restaurant, right? But I'll get back to the sushi in a bit. All right, let's get back to that menu. So yes, there are a few items for the non-seafood lovers in the family, like my husband. He actually really liked the fried chicken sandwich. It had bacon on there and cheese and, all the other stuff that he asked for them not to put on there in case there are some people actually like vegetables. There are other things on there besides just meat, cheese. But anyway, he was going to try the ribs. Unfortunately, we had just had them the day before for dinner, so I don't have any footage of that. But I've heard that they're actually pretty good. There's a burger on the menu and a few other items. We did actually see that they had a pizza and a kids menu, stuff like that for really picky eaters.